What is up, guys? Hove here, and it's been a while since I've done a video. This one's a special one for me because you guys helped me crack that 2,000 follower mark on Twitter, so I wanted to show some love back. And today I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin with an emphasis on geometry and using geometry to give you clues on where we might be. Now, I'm gonna try to keep it short and sweet, but if you've ever seen my videos, it doesn't tend to work out that way, just because I kind of go off in certain directions. I find other things that I think might be worth it to show you. So I'll try to keep it short, but no promises. So let's jump right in. So like you can see, it's a empty chart of Bitcoin, and I'm going to start with using channels because this kind of gives us a clue of what account might be. We see a lot of well, I've seen a lot of charts, I'm sure you've seen a lot of charts that kind of, I mean, they have counts on them, but people will say, oh, this isn't enough to be a flat because it doesn't go the required amount, and so on and so forth. And what I want to do is show you how these counts can work. And if you think of these as separate sections, because this to me looks like it's part of one section, this looks like it's part of another, and this looks like it's part of another, as well as this looks like it's part of another. Now, it's easy to say that in hindsight, but what we can do at the time of when these are developing is throw those channels on to see where we're likely to get a landing spot for something like this, where we're likely to get a landing spot for something like this, something like this, and something like this, and so on and so forth. So the first channel I'm going to draw is the obvious one right here. I'm going to pull this all the way over to where the B is, or what we propose as a B, and then right on that one. Now, you can see that we get this move down, a move up, and then a move down almost to the tick of this channel before we ultimately get a nice reaction. We retrace a lot here and then ultimately get up. Now, the key here, besides having a place to get a good entry and then also take profit right here, is we see that this breaks this upper channel line. Now, the requirement for zigzag combo family corrections is an X has to break the channel of the first zigzag. That is it. It could be 50%, it could be 60%, it doesn't matter as long as we get a break of this, and that's what qualifies this as an X. I see a lot of confusion around that where X has to go a certain amount, but that is all that's required in a zigzag family pattern combo, or double zigzag or triple zigzag. So on something like this, it's pretty simple to see where you're going to take profit or where you're going to find an entry if you thought this move was going to be the end of the correction, which a lot of people did. People were thinking that this was going to be a 4 on the macro trend. So even though we don't know that for sure that it's going to be a 4, we can play this as either a 4 or a bigger B or an X like it was. Now, for something like this, if you think this is A, B, C, then you have this channel. You'll take your APP tool, project it from there. Whoa, sorry about that. And you see it gets almost to the tick of that 100. So this is an obvious place where you're going to have your take profit. A lot of times I'll front run it by just a little bit because I don't need to take all of it. I'm fine with that. And then the other thing here is if you were looking for an entry, I don't remember how this measures. So it goes through, let me see. This would probably have been your entry right here. It doesn't quite get there. Yeah. But if you had an entry here and you were looking to see, all right, this is, I have an entry where do I want to take profit? And you're obviously going to look at the bottom of the channel and at the 100 APP. Now, you can also look for this if you can't short, or if you want to short and then flip. It's an obvious area to get an entry as well. Now, if you're expecting this to be the 5th is starting, or you're getting the ABC up for an X or something like that, you get your entries here. You can obviously take profit here if you like. This looks like 5 waves, so it's really nice, but we get a deep retrace, which scares a lot of people. Now, the trade here is you either take profit here and then look to ladder back in if you took this trade. And the key is the stop on this. If you want to grab this whole move, your stop should be just below invalidation. At this point, you're thinking, all right, I see 5 down, 5 up. So I'm expecting either this to come up as a C or this to come up as a 3. So your stop should be at point of invalidation, which is down here. I know this goes super deep, but that's how you would trade it. Now, this next section, we see that we got the X or B or whatever you want to call it in this. We have no idea at this point. I've seen triangles through here, which can work, but I like it this way. I like it as a triangle. It doesn't really matter. It's all going to end up in the same point. The next one we would look at is to take from the top of this X through this point right here, and then we'll project it from what our A would be here. A, B, C. You get the expanded flat here. And you see our first reaction is there. We get a little outside of it, and then ultimately come up, then test it again, get back up, and then come down and test it again before we rock it up. Now, obviously, we didn't know if this was going to be this way, or an X, or an expanded flat, or at this point, I think a lot of people were thinking this was 1, 2, 3, 4th here, and 5th down. But I don't remember, but one of my tweets back in the day had this exact channel on it, and I said the key is going to be watching this channel line and the reactions of it, because I posted it and we've seen how many reactions we got, so I figured we would get a good one here. And it goes to the tick of it before it launches up. Now obviously I didn't know it was going to rip up there. I also didn't know that this was going to be an expanded flat, which I like better now. I thought this was going to be a B, C, comes down for the 5th, and then get either an impulse here or a X, which it ultimately ends up being, but I would have thought it would have been A, B, C, X to break the channel and then come down. Now, on something like this, you now see that we have our A, B, C in there. Let me go ahead and label these for you. I'll make it easy to follow along. A, B, C, A, B, and we'll go with C is going to be here. And you get the ABC up. Oops. Yeah, ABC, ABC, and then 5 waves for X. So let me put that in there for you. Alright, A, B, C. Now, you see that we did obviously break through that channel, so that makes us have another X. And let me throw that on there as well. Again, I'm just kind of walking you through the geometry of what we're going to be looking for. I also want to extend this because oftentimes these will come back into play. As it did here, we stayed above it, finally wicked it right there. Oops, sorry. wicked it right there before getting down. We haven't gotten to the bottom of that yet, so that's interesting. We also haven't gotten to the top, as long as these are like perfectly on there. Actually, I don't want to extend that. I don't want to get it too cluttered at the moment. Just want to show you that. Oops. All right, now when it comes to the micro time frame, or a smaller time frame than what we're on, which is the 8 hour right here, this has not been very clear. There's not a lot of subdivision here. A lot of people were thinking, oh, this was A, B, and now we're getting a diag for C before we rock it off, and that didn't happen. This can work as an impulse down as a 1 or an A. We get a B, C. It could work as a triangle here. This could also work as a truncation of whatever move this was, because this was out of control. There's a 40% move, I think it was. So a truncation is very valid here. So then it would actually start here. But regardless of what account is at the moment, sorry. On this micro time frame, I'm gonna use geometry to kind of give me an idea of where price action is gonna go, and also show me a potential count that could be there. So I'm gonna use this here. I'm not gonna use this fat wick, and whether this is a 1, 2, and we get some 4 around here, or A, B, and we get a C here, we don't know, but I'm going to use this channel through that origin and place it off our 1 or A or whatever. And the reason why, instead of thinking this as an A, B, C here, is because we break this channel a lot, and that usually is a sign that we're in an impulse down. Now, if I'm thinking that, and we have our 1, 2, a third somewhere around here, again, there's not a whole lot of clarity. This could be an expanded flat, this could be a leading diag, and then we're coming down, or leading diag for A, coming down for B, up for C. We don't know, but we're going to use this geometry as a way to give us a little bit of clarity. And what you would expect if we are in an impulse is that the 4 will come back into the area of this channel and test it before getting rejected. And you see that we've gotten rejected from it multiple times. Now, it doesn't have to be on the underside of this channel to get rejected. It can come to this median line or whatever. So if we think this is a 1, 2, and a third somewhere around here, we'll go ahead and pull that fib. And right there, I mean, it's impossible to say whether that is an expanded flat or something else. But let me get these other ones on here. But you can see that the reactions, our first reaction was at this 236. Second reaction, 236. Third reaction, 236. Then we finally get the reactions up here at the 382. Another reaction at the 382. So even though I don't have clarity, I can figure out where the algos are working from just by the reactions. Like, see this full pull, I don't really get great reactions here. I get a good reaction here. It could be a front run, but we don't know. And then this gets all the way through. So I kind of like this pull the best. And I'm going to go through not just the geometry, but also go through a couple fibs for you. And I'm going to build kind of confluence areas that we're going to look for on the micro time frame to see if this Z isn't finished, where we would want to look. So right now I still do lean down. I can be wrong. I am wrong all the time. I have no problem with being wrong. as long as I manage my trades effectively. I'm still well in profit for a lot of these trades. And I took this one, I posted it for you guys on Twitter, but now I'm still unclear of where we are. I mean, this nasty rejection makes me lean to the downside that we completed our 4 here. We put in a 1, 2, and now we're going to start making our way down. Whether that's for a fifth of A or for C of Z is not quite known yet. But regardless, I'll build some confluent zones so we can figure out areas to work with. Another thing I'll do, I'm gonna remove these for now, is I like to use pitchforks, and we use pitchforks on what we think are, where is this thing? There it is. Are the best pivot points for a pitchfork or market geometry. And you can use multiple points. I like these two because they're our first major low and then our next high. And then I think this is a shift. Yeah, it's a shift pitchfork. But I'll go through, start with original, and then to shift, and then I'll go to modify shift to see how price action is reacting to these levels. Now, this is my favorite pitchfork, not the shift, but it's a pitchfork based off of fibs. All these levels are fibs, and you can see that you get good price reactions at the fibs. There. And then we hover around the median line, which is Andrew's median line principle. And then, again, we're getting ticks everywhere on these. I love these things. They're the best. That's why I use these quite often, because, look, this whole pitchfork has been holding this geometry really well. And it's going to give us some clues. Right now, we're still under here by quite a margin. If we can get above this and then start moving, price action will probably look better. I mean, you can tell if we're under here, we're going to get lower. Under here, get lower. We finally break through, come down, and not perfectly test it, but then we move higher. And it revolves around here. We stay above, and then we get lower, finally break through. Now we're coming back. It's basically centered your price action for this whole move. So you can use these pivots. You can use other pivots. We'll use these two because those are the next obvious pivots. And you can see these come into play as well. I like this one as well. You can all play with these just a little bit. I mean, look at that. You can see we get reactions all along the median line, right here, 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 here. So we're well under that. You really just want to play with these to figure out which one holds the price action the best, and then go from there. The next thing I want to look at is what the algos are doing, because you hear Sam, Toots, and myself talk about them a lot. They are a big principle around our trading method because we have identified these, so we want to get behind these trades. We don't want to try to force the market into what we think is going to happen. We just want to get behind and feed off these whales. So first, we're going to start over here. I don't know if these labels will make it too tricky, but anyways. So obvious first points is going to be our swing high to swing low. Now our swing high to swing low here is this one. I'm going to get rid of these just so it makes it a little easier to see. Let me make sure that's on there. But you see, we get our swing high to swing low. It hits the 618 where we expect it to, and then it gets that 236. Let me line these up. It's almost to the tick of that 236 before we get a rip up. Now, that is our first algo reaction from the top. So it shows us that the bear algo is in play so far. The next one would have been this one. Now we're confused as hell because we got a tick of the 50 to the algo target. Then the next one, this goes too deep and doesn't get the algo target. So we know that these two have worked. Whoops, I always do that. Now moving on from here, our next swing high to swing low is going to be this one. It's going to be from this high through this low, and we'll see how that works. Now look at that. This one ends up breaking, but it's not breaking with algo participation. Oops, let's go here. Because if you pull from this way, we got super deep, so this algo isn't behind it either. Now, if we just do from the very high price extreme high through our low here, you'll see that we get through it, but ultimately get to target. Same with these. We'll pull from this high through this swing high low. We get a reaction at the 50, it comes down, and then a reaction at the 50 again before we ultimately get first target, second target, and a little short of third down here. So the next one would be our swing high through. This could be it, but I like this one best because our C ends here and we get an expansion. And so if our algos are taking profit here, this would likely be the next pull. It gets a tick through the 618, so you know we have algo participation. It comes back down, reaction off the 50, ultimately gets to target. We don't get any further, we get a little bit down, but comes back, target again, and now it's moving off. So what that shows us is now the bear algo is in play. We haven't had, outside of this swing low to swing high algo reaction, not a single one of these has had a algo behind it for the bearish side. So our obvious next point, is to take from our swing high to our swing low. Now I'm gonna take from this one because we got our algo reaction here. Let me do this. Where did that go? We got this algo reaction to the one, not that one. Which is, oh, it was here is where I was pulling from. So now this bear algo has taken its profit, and now it's looking for the next swing high to swing low. It's just rinse and repeat for these things. They don't care about an Elliott wave or anything. So if our next swing high, swing low is this one, we're going to look for a test of our 50. Let me see what these look like. We're going to look for a test of our 50 or 618, and then our algo target would be down here at 6100. Now, again, we don't know. I'm just trying to build some areas of confluence around these algos and some geometry because it could be pulling from here. We don't exactly know. But what I'm going to start doing is I'll put some of this geometry back on, and then I'm going to pull out so we can find areas of high confluence that we're going to look for either this move of Z to end where we're going to take profit, or where we want to look to get in for long entries. Again, I'm not telling you which ones we want to take. That is up to you to decide. I'm just trying to give you ideas of how to use geometry and algos to find areas of interest. So now I am going to go ahead and pull or go on the daily chart. I like to use a 24-hour chart because it gives me the countdown of what it's looking like, and the daily one doesn't, so that might be a little tip, who knows. So when we're looking at geometry now, what I want to do, what I really like to use, there's two things. You obviously know I like to use channels, so we'll go ahead and get this thing off. Go ahead and channel this from 0 through our origin of 2 or B, and place it on there, and it's going to give us an area that we might look for a test and reaction. But even the median line here comes into play quite often. The next thing I will do is use the pitch fan, which I find on the macro degree very, very reliable. So it might be a little loud. Hopefully it's not too bright in your face. But you can see that all these have given you really good reactions before you get through, comes back up, and then it gets up here, test here, then test here, finally breaks through, test there, comes down, back through, and it does this over and over. You can see these reactions. So we have these ultimately down here. There could be another one if you want to add certain levels. You can do this with a just how I have my fib pitchfork. You can do the same thing with the fib fan. The other thing I would like to do is look at these areas in both log and arithmetic. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to draw these for our own sake, just so I can show you. We'll put these in pink for now, so I can show you what the difference will look like when we are switching between log and arithmetic. And you can see it's testing it right now. So this could be our test before we rip down to this level of around 6400, which could either be the 5 or the start of C. Who knows? Just drawing these. Bear with me, sorry. This is kind of just the process that I go through when I'm looking at counts and trying to figure out good areas to take profit or to get in on entries, things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and now switch this to arithmetic, and you can see that the difference, the pink lines are log, the white ones now are arithmetic. It's not too different here. You can see that this one intersects right at that median line, also right at the top of the channel. That's where we might get a good bounce. So let's extend this box to right around there. Excuse me. What else? Yeah, so we got that. It's getting deep. What else did I want to look at? You can see that the white actually played really well as well. You get the test of this median line. It comes up, test, back through, finally gets by, and you'll see the reaction at all these levels throughout the whole thing. Go ahead and play with this as well, but just like the pitchfork, you want to choose the obvious pivots. This was our 1, 2, so those are the best places to place those to help with seeing where we'll get some reaction. Now I'm going to go back to log, and I'm going to remove this. actually, I'll keep it on for now. But I'm gonna pull a fib because we haven't tested the lows yet. Pull a fib from our origin through whatever high this is. This could be R1. It could be something else crazy. I'm leaning towards 1. But now we'll start seeing where the reactions were, and we can see all the reactions were right around the 236. This is on log, by the way. This is adjusted for log. Before I move any further, I'm going to take this off. And I'm also going to pull another fib. I'll start here. But I'm going to leave it on arithmetic for you guys. And I have an adjustment already. We'll go here. There are going to be the dotted lines. I'll put the 786, 887 on there. I'll even throw the 707. All right, now you're seeing we're getting more overlap of confluence through here. This 707 lands right there. We also got the median line area right here at our 618 on arithmetic, or 786 of log, and then 786 of arithmetic. So you can see all this is giving us an area, or areas now, of where we're going to want to see our price action going. Again, we have no idea where we are here. This could either be the 4th or the B up for the C to come down. If that's the case, we'll pull from this side. Oh man. On arithmetic, it's way down there at the 618. Let me switch to log again. Sorry, I told you it gets kind of long, but it's just the thought process that I go through when I'm looking for areas to where we'll find support. And that, I mean, I took entries here while everybody's saying we're capitulating to 3K because of the geometry I use and the methods that show us where we're likely to get landing spots. This 50 was an obvious one to take. Excuse me. So now we have this area of confluence. And the last thing I want to do, I'm going to remove all this geometry. Actually, I'll just remove everything. No, I want to keep those boxes. Let's remove these. I'll leave those on there. Actually, let me leave it on there just for a second. Look at, okay, it's way down there. Okay, now I'll take those off. There's that one. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna take these off for now. We'll leave that one on there. A couple of things. There's a few things I like to use when finding confluence areas to get entries. I know this is getting long. I'm sorry. I did warn you though. So the next thing I'll want to use is my visible range. I'm going to throw that on there to give us an area of where we can look for a bounce. And you see we got this first bounce right at that high volume node. The next one could be down in this area. We got a little spike here, but between here and here, there's not a lot of price acceptance. So it probably just dumped down there. And then you can see this one's way down there. That's super deep. So I'll use this visible range as a way to find areas of where I'm going to get a bounce. Now, I would probably start the box from this high to here, right around there, and that's exactly where we got the bounce. The next tool I will use is a fib time tool. So let me get this on there. I'm going to trace from our bottom through our ultimate top and I'm going to project it out. Now, let me remove all this just so it's a little bit more clear and you can see it. And I'm going to zoom in on this section for you. Just bear with me. Now, you can see that we've been getting pretty good reaction at these fib levels. At the 236, we ultimately rip down. This one starts our move down. We get a good reaction here. We get our huge reaction at the 618, and boom, again, right at that 786. So what I expect is either we come down here, we bounce up, and then we ultimately get a capitulation right on this one at somewhere around here. Now, this could go as an A, B, C up here, and then we finally get capitulation right at the one, but I'm looking for a reaction right around this area to find our bottom, and that's roughly at the beginning of January. So we'll see if that holds, but so far this has been playing out really well. I think that's pretty much it. I kind of just winged this video, but it kind of gives us an idea of where we're looking to go. Let me throw this on there. Where we're looking to where our ultimate landing spot will be. You see this algo is in play. You've got the 382 just ticking it multiple times. Our algo target is down here at the 5800 level, which would be our first obvious target. Kind of where I'm looking as of right now, I do lean, because of this geometry right here, I do lean towards us being in a fourth, because we're testing this, and then come down for a fifth, then ultimately get a bigger ABC. I don't think we'll get very high because, like I said, I use these visible ranges as support and resistance areas, and if it does end up getting up here, it would definitely break through this and be a little more bullish than I would like, but that's neither here nor there. I'll take the trade regardless of the direction once I have good areas for entry. I guess one last thing before I sign off. We have these two areas that we're expecting to look at. Last thing I'll do is I'll look for more confluence. If this ends up being a B here, more confluence based off of these, and if it does come down, we can end up right here. We're seeing confluence right here. We're seeing confluence if it's a fifth that needs to come down, but I'll use our Vegas waves. Clean this up a little bit. I'll use our Vegas waves. Let me get those on. And you can see on the daily we're well below it, but let's take it up to the weekly and see where we are. Look at that. That weekly, let me blow this up for us. I'll also do the 3-day. But that weekly first one is right at that upper confluence zone that we would look for a reaction. So I'm liking this. This area should provide us with pretty good support. I want to go to the 3-day just to have a look at it. And right now we're busting through that 3-day, which is not great, but you can see just like when we busted through here, we kind of chopped around through it before ultimately going in that same direction. Could be what we're getting here. Chopping through before we ultimately get down. So we'll have to see. I think that's pretty much it for the geometry. Obviously, you can use that geometry all the way back here. You can use pitchforks, pitch fans, fibs, obviously channels, everything to give you an idea of where we are and to build confluence areas to either make entries or where you want to put your take profits. All right, I think that's all I got for you today. Sorry it went on a little bit. I would just try to walk through the process as much as I can. Normally I do this in silence, so it is a little challenging to talk out loud to yourself. But if you like this video and want to see more, leave a like and a comment below of things that you would like to see that you might not have clarity on or something I might have missed. And then you can also head over to my Twitter, which I'll link below, and give me a follow because I'm going to be threading all my charts. Well, I already have threaded charts that you can follow to see how the count progresses. But I'm also going to start posting my entries, targets, stops, you name it, in real time so you know exactly what trade I'm in and what happened. I'll keep a record of it all, and even if it's a loss, I'll post it and my thoughts of how I could have traded it better for next time. So it's kind of like a learning experience for both of us to become, or all of us to become, better traders. So go on over to my Twitter, give me a follow, and you can also comment there what else you would like to see. I'll try to start doing more videos. Things have just been crazy over here. I was having internet issues and apartment issues and all sorts of stuff. So I'll be settled for a little while. So I'm going to try to do more video updates as much as I can. All right, guys. I hope that helped. Enjoy.